You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
From aliens to ghosts, demons to angels, and from shadow people to the outlandish, Heidi Hollis is the Outlander.
Welcome everybody to my awesome Friday evening. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, I love freaking Friday. It's been a while. I tell you that I was off for several months, and now I'm back, and I am just having a blast. So, I'm hearing feedback.
I'm trying here for you, Heidi.
MJ, are you able to mute her over there for a second? All right, so sure. I want to tell you guys about this program. So when it comes to the outlandish, oh my goodness, you know that we cover so many different things. I don't care if Bigfoot has his feet up on your table or if he's on your couch, whatever it is, to visions of Jesus. Personally, I'm someone who has been there, seen that, experienced it, freaked out, found some answers, wrote about it, got over it, and now I'm hoping to help others do the same thing and understand this crazy, crazy world of ours. If you dare, please go to my main website, which is HeidiHollis.com, and check it out. You'll find a lot of stuff on there about me that may make you lose sleep or laugh. I don't know. I kind of cover a lot of different angles. So, and I also want to tell you guys how you can hear this program, because this program is awesome. We have our own IRN app. So if you don't want to listen to us live like you are right now, or maybe you're listening to the app, who knows? Most people do seem to listen to the app. Go to your app store and grab the IRN app. It is fantastic. Or you can also listen to this program live just by calling a phone number, 401-283-6700. And my parents do that because they don't like to sit there and try to fiddle with, this high-tech stuff. And they just sit there and they listen on their phone line. It's kind of cool. And I want to welcome you guys, too. I love to have you guys subscribe to Inception Radio Network on YouTube. That's right. I said it. And I would love for you also to feel free to call into the show, 1-888-919-2355, or find us on Skype and send your questions and comments to Inception Radio Network. And I'm going to get on over into the chat room here soon. I did not get myself organized to get over there just yet, but I will be there in a momento. And so my goodness, I'm so happy to be here. You guys have no idea. And I wanted to get you guys some very, very interesting information, but I just don't have it here. Hold on. I'm going to look up something here for you guys because I have a treat. A very, very cool treat. Don't mind me, I have a little bronchitis. Just a little bronchitis. Who gets a little bronchitis? Only me. I'm just lucky like that, I guess. So get this. I have been fortunate enough to be working with some very, very cool people who are trying to bring attention to what I've been trying to bring attention to for years when it comes to those of us and you who have experienced horrible, terrible nightmares, sleep paralysis, sleepwalking, sleep deprivation, being terrified to go to sleep because of the things that are going on in your sleep. And the cool thing about this, bringing attention to this and documenting this, and also getting the help to you, free of charge, of course, and talking to you about this stuff and seeing what we can do to help remedy these things. It doesn't matter if you think there's a paranormal element to it or not, or if it's just something that's going on. I mean, a lot of people that experience what, people call night terror, sleep paralysis, or whatever, a lot of people don't remember things that are going on, but those in your life are laying in the bed going, dude, stop, what's going on, smacking you, and all that stuff. So I want to be able to hear from you guys that are experiencing these things. Yes, if you're seeing shadow people. Yes, if you're seeing Hat Man. Yes, if you're having these night terrors, nightmares, whatever it is. And feel free to write me at dasoutlander@gmail.com, dasoutlander@gmail.com, and send over your information and how I could get a hold of you, and let's chat for real. Like, just, me and you, we'll talk, and and put you in touch with these people as well. I mean, they're really fantastic, energetic, and really positively trying to make a difference out there, which is so needed. And you know me, I'm all about bringing attention to these topics because a lot of people just don't take it as serious as they need to. I mean, I feel when people are having these night terrors and these horrible things going on in their sleep, that they're battling an individual war. Honestly, and hello, that's why I called my first book "The Secret War." I feel that people are struggling, and they're really, really trying to, save their lives. That's what it feels like, honestly. If you remember these things when it's happening to you, so let's make a difference. And how do we make a difference? Is putting word out there, putting a face to some of the phenomenon that's going on, and put your name to it, and let's do this. You know what I'm saying? So. dasoutlander@gmail.com, D as in David, A-S, outlander@gmail.com. So I would love to hear from you. Now, I want to invite my guest. I will officially introduce her after the Outlandish Corner. But first, I want to get to the Outlandish Corner, and I'm going to invite Mary Sutherland to join us, my guest, tonight. And we're going to go through the Outlandish Corner together because it's just so much fun. I love these emails that you guys entrust me with to read over the airways. So, Mary, are you there? You listening? You ready to join me?
Yep, and I'm even trying to figure out this microphone.
It's all good. Okay, so here we go. All right. What is this? Okay. I don't read these ahead of time, so I have no idea what's in these emails. They're kind of fun. All right, so this one says, "Dear Heidi," that's me. "I'm writing to you regarding an interview that I just listened to on YouTube that you did with George Knapp." Oh, George Knapp. Okay, January 18th of this year. "What chilled me to the bone was the Hatman experience that you described. My son has had the exact same experience since 9 years ago when he was 6. Ooh, that sounds like it's repeating. I would love to tell you the experiences mainly because I haven't been able to talk to anyone about it that didn't think I was totally nuts." Hey, join the club. They didn't say that, but I'm sure you know the look. Oh, I know that look, girlfriend. If you wish to hear the details and would like to contact me by phone is preferred. Oh, we got a phone number. It's most efficient for conversation to me than email. I live in Oregon. Anytime you can call will be fine. If this is somehow a weird request or you're unable to talk, I totally understand. It would just be great to relay this to someone who actually gets it. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Sincerely, Robert. Oh, that was really sweet, Robert. Thank you for it. The way that these emails come across. I mean, I am so touched and I mean, I feel so lucky that people would take the time to write and. Such sincerity. I mean, and you know what I have to say, Mary, about this letter? I know you've been in this stuff for a long time too, and it's like a lot of times when people's kids experience things, they don't have an open mind to it. And wow, what kudos to this Robert, wouldn't you say, to trusting what his kid has been saying for 9 years?
That is one of the biggest concerns of mine is the fact that, first of all, the child is victimized by whatever is out there, whether it be, an alien or a shadow person or a shadow being. Mm-hmm. But then when they go to the only people that can help them, which is their parents, the parents have been conditioned not to believe in this, so thus they send them right back to be victimized again. So these poor little critters are just on their own,
Yeah. Isn't that sad?
And it's terrifying because there is no place for them to go.
Yeah,
children.
That's awful. And you know what? Another victim here is this Robert, who feels like they have no one to turn to. But, to write somebody across the country and to say, "Gosh, I hope you call me because I would surely love to vent this." I mean, I feel like people are being victimized all over, down the line because they have no one to talk to without the eye roll. And, people totally shutting down. I mean, this is what I mean about we need to start making a difference out there and speaking up and showing people that the paranormal is more normal. It happens more often than people realize, and so I just, it's frustrating to see and hear that this is going on with so many different people. I don't know, but
it is, and there needs to be more people out there doing what you're doing, what I'm doing.
yeah,
Because I mean, we can only handle so many, and it is becoming more and more frequent all the time. And people like that are going to help people, such as that gentleman that wrote in.
yeah,
they have to learn. I mean,
yes.
they just, so many people just pick up a book and read and think that they can go out there and help. Well, they need, these people that are looking for help, they need to come to people like us that have the experience and have some sort of understanding of how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they can just get in deeper trouble than if they would have left it alone sometimes, too.
Oh, amen. So very true. I mean, it's interesting to me. Remember way back in the day, Mary, when people didn't have this thing called the internet, and you actually had to get out the door and meet people physically to learn about these things and to get answers. And yes, you had to read not just one book, but tons of books. So you had a good perspective and get out there and do the legwork and research. I mean, and now it's like, gosh, I wonder what Bigfoot's doing today. Google, what's Bigfoot doing today? Bing, there's the answer. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah, I remember, Heidi, when it used to be for you and me, when, even the books were censored. So we didn't have the internet. We tried to find books on it. And there was very, very few books on it because there wasn't any self-publishing,
Right.
And the publishers, they had a list of what they would publish and what they wouldn't. Then you had to go through a library, and they censored the books as well. So, I mean, so when we were out in the field, which we're still doing, I mean, we had to actually go out in the field and experience it and then and then figure it out with our own brain power.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
and
honestly.
Sometimes.
Honestly. And, it's the only reason why I wrote my first book, because I could not find anything on shadow people, what I was dealing with. I'm like, this is not something, this has got to be addressed. I was going cuckoo. I don't know. I was like, well, I guess since this isn't out there, I guess I better find a way to put it out there. It took me 2 months to write that first book, 4 years to get it published, because I had publishers that were like, oh, this is very interesting. Yeah, we're going to publish it. Drop it. Oh, yeah, we'll publish it. Drop it. I mean, man, I wrote the book in 97. It took to 2001 to get it out. It was really dismaying, so difficult. And then I had these other authors who had their own little publishing houses who would criticize, there's no such thing as that. And then, not going to publish this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was really tough. So you've been in this longer than myself. So, but it's been, I mean, you've been writing forever. I love it. So we got to get into that though soon.
Well, with you, it was with you coined the term shadow person.
Yeah.
And the hat man. And with myself, I fell into shooting interdimensional or multidimensional photos. Shooting the pictures that I actually captured that people couldn't see. And, and of course there was Linda Godfrey,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She brought forth, the Gray Road Beast.
Yes.
We were pretty much the groundbreakers of it all, if I remember correctly.
And we are all from Wisconsin.
Right, exactly. And all women.
Yes. Amen.
I'm sure our men listeners won't appreciate that, but it's true, I always got a kick out. I'd get a kick out of going out into the woods and watching the men run, and us girls saying, "What's that? What's that?" Taking our flashlights, checking out what's behind those bushes,
We're curious, I tell you. Yeah. And, guys just got to start giving us more credit, because still I get a lot of people going, what, you came up with shadow people and the Hat Man? I'm like, my goodness, have you heard of it before? Yes. Well, yes, there's a lady behind it, believe it or not. It's like, I don't understand how that happens. I just don't. But whatever, what can you do? But
You know, in my latest book, Haunted Burlington, Wisconsin, it's from that History Press, Haunted USA series.
uh-huh.
I actually wrote about the Hat Man in Burlington.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I at that point in time I didn't realize, well, that was just about the time I think that you came up with the term Hat Man.
Oh,
And I was right, and I had written about it, about this ghost that everybody was seeing and how he was dressed. And I got a hold of your book, and I was reading your book, and I thought, oh my God, Heidi knows what this is, And she termed it, the Hat Man. So, I've been referring to him ever since as the Hat Man. But
that's funny.
there was a lot of people in Burlington that actually saw him physically,
Oh, it's an
And he's
epidemic.
still there today, just there's this certain there's a little shopping center in Burlington, and it seems like he visits each and every one of these stores every day. He just kind of walks through the walls,
Oh gosh.
hangs out, and he wears a brown coat and a brown hat.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he does change it up sometimes. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll have to do a road trip. Well, hopefully I can get
Well,
myself going.
whenever I know you've gotten so busy too.
It's been
But whenever you
wild.
do it, just get a hold of me and I'll go with you.
Definitely, definitely. Well, let me get on over to this next email before we run out of time in this segment. Okay, so this next one, it says, Dear Heidi, I read your Shadow People book. Probably The Secret War I'm thinking they're talking about. Thank you for writing it. I had one of those experiences. He was just like you described. Oh, this must be the Hat Man book they're speaking of. Okay. He was just like you described and stood at the foot of my bed and was driving nails into my feet. Oh, that's horrible. Heidi, I am writing to see if you have any information about how to get alien interdimensional equipment removed from your body. I discovered a hostile alien trying to possess me 5 years ago, and I tried to throw him out of my aura for a couple of months. He retaliated by installing invisible electrodes that go off constantly, and they just feel exactly like they would be there in physical dimension. Okay. They will sometimes make you keel over and hit the floor. I try to find a shaman, but so far, no one seems to know about this a whole lot. Thanks. And they left it anonymous. Ooh, this is a doozy, Mary. Gosh, interdimensional alien equipment. I have heard of people feeling like they were tagged, and they feel like they're being tracked. They know that it affects their aura, it affects their energy, and they feel so out of sorts that they don't know what to do in regards to that. This is really interesting. I'm trying to figure out, when this person is saying, I read your Shadow People book. Well, I don't have a book that's just called Shadow People. And they're describing somebody standing at the foot of their bed driving nails in their feet. So is that the Hat Man? Is that Shadow People? Is a big difference. So I wish I knew better on that. But with this, the alien connection with Shadow People is a lot more direct than the Hat Man. So when it comes to this interdimensional stuff, I'm all about. I mean, I know a lot of people are not in this realm as I am, but I'm a Christian, and I believe that the power of God can take on most anything. And though this may feel like a physical thing, but it's not quite a physical thing, that this is interdimensional, I don't see that whatever it is that you believe to be real as far as the powers that be is to pray over it, honestly. And to have others, sit with you in doing that. You don't have to go to a shaman to do it. I mean, this is something that, I think God gave us the gifts and the ability to be able to remedy these things, but we doubt ourselves. We think we have to go and, get somebody else that has more faith than you do. Own it. Put your ethereal foot down and just be like, look, I'm going to take this on. And, my husband, wife, whatever, I don't know who this is, anonymous, help you out with this. And honestly, I truly, truly believe that we could rid ourselves of these types of things because it is a difficult thing. Interdimensional alien equipment, I mean, who specializes in that? I think that God is all knowing, and I think that these are things that can be done. I had a so-called horrific brain tumor at one point, and I kid you not, this thing was huge and was sticking out the side of my neck. And I'm like, God, this thing is still there. I'd pray for it to go away. It's still there. And then I changed my prayer, and I'm like, God, make it be anything else but this crazy brain tumor. And wouldn't you know it, my next follow-up visit, oh my gosh, it's not a tumor. It's a long story. So I believe in the power of prayer. Work it out. Mary, what would you suggest to this person?
Well, I totally agree with you. And, if they feel comfortable with a shaman, then, by all right means, use a shaman. But, for the Christians, I think you need to go to somebody or, some sort of a faith that you feel comfortable with. But, something tells me, just by the way this is all described, that this is nanotechnology.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
And I know that and I suggest that whoever this is that's writing this do a little bit of Google search on nanotechnology and how it's being even used by our own government as well as aliens.
Yes, and you know what I've heard too? When people try to cut some of these things out, they'll move.
Yeah.
So it's so like
it seems like they have a intelligence of their own.
Right.
But it's just a futuristic, for us, it's a futuristic technology, but that doesn't mean it's a futuristic technology for the aliens.
Yep, there you go. Right. You're very right. So I hope that was helpful to you. So we got another quickie here we could throw in real quick. It says, Dear Heidi, I am currently reading your book, The Secret War. I'm very well versed on these shadow people as I've dealt with them my whole life. Only started to really understand the event about 10 or so years ago when I started meditating and really opened up my perspective. Your book is great, to say the least. I live in Australia. Oh, hi there, mate. I got to live down there. I loved it. I've seen... Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Beautiful country. Nice people. I've seen and dealt with shadow people and gray aliens. I've seen one in my house and chased it out. Ooh, good on you, mate. And kept it and its mates out for the rest of the night. I worked as a career for a man with Lyme's disease a few years back with a group of healers. I am 1-2. I am 1-2? Okay, I'm a group of healers. Okay, I'm a healer. Just not as out there practicing, but a shadow being was taken over the body of the person we were looking after. I even got to see UFOs up close and personal during that time. Worst part is, all persons whom worked with this person had many things negatively happening to them. Anyways, it's a long story and too long-winded for here. I've seen 116 UFOs to date. Wow. I have the scars, the implants, blah, blah, blah. I don't give up the fight. I don't deliberately go out and wage energetic battles with these beings anymore. Like Calf says in your book, they try to take you out. Lucky for me, I have a great friend whom helped me out. Your book is an inspiration. I'm used to being looked upon as the fool or someone whom is retarded when I share these experiences, and sad to say, have seen many friends and loved ones be pushed or rather pulled to the influences of the shadow people. Very sad. I just want you to know there are people out there who are not bending. Regards, Scotty. Wow. Well, that's it's so touching when you hear from somebody. I mean, that's the opposite side of the planet. That something that you worked on is helping. I mean, that's just so rewarding. I'm glad to hear that you're keeping up the positive fight out there, because so many people, I think that they tremble in the face of seeing beings that they think are the Wizard of Oz or something, and they don't know how to take it on. Like, oh gosh, this thing traveled a long distance, so he must be a lot smarter than me. He could do so much more to me, and I'm just gonna cave and just let it be. And I hear this all the time. Oh, you can't stop an abduction, or you can't do this. I'm like, I don't know that word can't. I think that there's always a way to get around these things, and don't doubt yourself. I think the second that a little element of doubt comes within your mind,
I agree.
There's a way in. There you go. It's like, so you're an inspiration, Scotty. I mean, honestly, because I'm just one person that just decided to put their their name out there and do this, even though my dad told me to use a pen name. Because I told my dad, you didn't have any sons, Dad, so I'm going to abuse your last name to its fullest. And so I am. And it sounds so good with the name Heidi. So I just
It's a great name.
Gee, thanks. So keep putting keep the fight up out over there down under, and we'll do our end over here too. So, what's your thoughts on it, Mary?
There was an article I was reading. Actually, they got something on YouTube as well. Have you ever heard of the black goo?
The black what? Goo?
The black goo. Goo.
No. Mm-mm.
I had neither. And anyhow, like us, if we're not out there in the field, we're researching. Anyhow, I came across this YouTube on this black glue or goo, and they were this man. He was talking about how these aliens are trying to, take over the earth by using how would I say it? They're dropping this black goo, and it gets into the earth somehow, and it shuts down the consciousness and our interconnection with Mother Earth, and replaces our consciousness, our original consciousness, with the alien consciousness, which is a very negative consciousness.
Yeah.
And anyhow, somehow this has been a contributing factor with all the negativity that we have been going through, for maybe even 2,000 years. But if anyhow, it kind of made sense. And of course, they said that the only way to really fight it is by what you said, changing your attitude, start living in a higher vibration, put your mind to God, or, the source, that you feel comfortable with, as long as it's of a higher vibration. And you can actually break free from this. But because most people don't know about this replacement of human consciousness or Mother Earth consciousness with this alien consciousness, they don't know how to fight it. You have to know there's an enemy out there before you can fight it. And so anyhow, again, go to YouTube, and I think all you'd have to really do is type in black goo, Goo.
Yeah, definitely. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but it kind of makes sense. I don't know about the black goo or anything, but it does make sense that there's a negative consciousness of sorts taking over our minds.
Yes.
I don't believe that people are as hateful, as they were meant to be. I think that
exactly.
people, they were made from God, so I mean they should be carrying that within them, that consciousness of love, and
so very true. So very true.
So
we got to get to
something's influencing the consciousness.
Yeah, we got to get to our first break here. But I want to thank you guys for writing in, and again, anybody who has any experiences with anything out of the ordinary, and especially right now, I'm looking for those that are dealing with sleep paralysis, night terror type episodes. Feel free to write me at Outlander@gmail.com, and you're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander on Inception Radio Network, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Remembering, always, if it's weird, we're here, and so are you, so stop staring at me. We're giving you advice and insight on outlandish topics, and the phone lines are always open at 1-888-919-2355. And as we were speaking earlier with my awesome guest for the evening, it's Mary Sutherland. I'm going to give her official introduction. Mary has recently retired from being the owner manager of Burlington, Wisconsin Sci-Fi Cafe, which was an awesome place, to devote more time to her research. Her most recent book is The Red-Haired Giants. When she's not working on a book, she's passionately researching America's prehistory at places like Rock Lake and leading her famous haunted woods tours, which I have still got to go on. And everybody check out her awesome website. She's got a huge website, which is burlingtonnews.net. Everybody, round of applause for my friend, and you will love her too, Mary Sutherland. Woo! Oh my God, Mary, there's a red carpet.
Well,
It's rolling, girlfriend.
well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi, for having me.
Of course, my goodness. You know what? I've always enjoyed any kind of conversation I've ever had with you. You always give off good vibes, good advice, and your cafe rocked. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, but you were telling me during the break that it was starting to get to be a bit of a burden. Everything you were doing a lot at once, so you just kind of took a break from that a little bit, huh?
Well, yeah, it was 7 days a week, and we did it for 10 years.
Ugh.
And, my heart and soul is into, field research and writing. So, and then, of course, with the radio station, too. And it just got to the point where, I just couldn't, I had to make a choice. And besides that, I needed to start spending some time on myself and, and getting to know my husband,
That guy.
You remember Brad.
I do. How's he doing?
He's doing really good. Since last time you've seen him, he's went through 2 heart attacks and a bout of cancer. And he's totally healthy now. And, he's like you and me, with positive thinking. We both know that, it's all about how you deal with things on a positive note. And Brad beat the cancer, and his heart's totally fine, and he's doing great. He's
That's
doing
good to hear. I mean, honestly, I remember him, he posting about him pulling through that, and my gosh, you guys went through a lot. There was a fire, and so much. Or was it? Yeah, was it fire?
Well, no. Well, I felt sorry for this one kid. He didn't have a job, and somebody says, "Why don't you give him a break?" So I did, and he ended up he put together a little gang, and one night when I was out doing a tour, they managed to break into the cafe and stole a bunch of things. But
broke, and that's what it was. I know it was something that really took down your business. Like, when it rains, it pours.
Well, luckily I had insurance. Thank God.
Way to go. My goodness.
But otherwise, it could have done a lot of damage. But I had the insurance, so so everything was fine.
Oh, cool.
So I'm cool with it. But actually, Heidi, there's a really interesting story that goes with that robbery and a Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
You want to hear it?
I want to hear this. Bigfoot robbed your place or something? That'd be cool.
Well, actually, they saved the store. What? Because what had happened was, like I said, I had hired this kid, and I always let his friends come in and visit with him and stuff like that. And then I kind of had him under my wing, and I that night I had to do a tour out in the haunted woods, and I told him that he needed to come and help me, work as one of the guides. Mm-hmm. So he went with me, and I noticed that he was on his cell phone all the time. And at one point in time, he went way kind of deep into the woods, to make this call. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual, but I didn't think too much of it, just kind of ticked me off a little bit, but that was about it. But then right after he made that telephone call, all of a sudden, we started getting little pebbles thrown at us. Oh. And then the pebbles turned into larger stones. And finally, we started getting hit with stones about the size of about the size of a football or a small basketball. And they just were hitting us in all different directions. And, I thought, maybe if I went, because we'd had Bigfoot activity up there, so I knew that they wasn't going to hit us or hurt us. So I just thought maybe they just wanted us to move to another area. Mm-hmm. So we went to another little area, but they kept it up. And, but by that time, the rocks were really coming fast and hard, and I was afraid that somebody was going to get hit. So I had to call off the tour and get everybody out of there for safety. And they threw those stones all the way from way back there where the sacred site area is. They threw those stones until we actually got to the parking lot. Every time we stopped, more stones would start coming at us.
Oh, my God.
And like they were, hurting us out of the woods. Well, what had happened was, now we'd always gotten along with the Bigfoot up there in that area, never had problems with them, and I've known that they've been up in that area for years.
Yeah.
But what had happened was there was some Bigfoot back there in those woods and overheard his conversation, this kid's conversation. So the plan was to go out in the woods with me, and once we got back up into the sacred circle, he called his friends to tell him it was okay, it was safe to break in, and he was telling them the things that he wanted them to grab while they were there. And so the Bigfoot actually heard this and realized that the cafe was being robbed, and so they got together and actually herded us out. And so when the kid got to the parking lot, he called these guys again to tell them to get out of there. And luckily, the Bigfoot got us out of there in time. Maybe there was about $7,000 worth of merchandise stolen. But I had a lot of glass counters there and glass shelves and things.
Yeah.
And, they could have done a lot of destruction, smashing my glass cases to get into jewelry and things like that. So the Bigfoot actually did us a favor and saved our cafe.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it was amazing. But I was so freaked over it. Well, we had this one girl, she was so scared. Well, I was scared too, because when you got big rocks coming at a hard, steady speed at you, then they're whizzing by your head.
Yeah.
If those rocks would hit anybody, it could have popped their head like a watermelon. So, I'm really nervous over this. I'm trying to get everybody off to safety. But then the next day, or the next time I went out there with Brad and another group, I made Brad go to the store and buy hard hats for everybody. Because, all I
Not
could
the party favor ones either, but the real hard.
The real hard hats, because I'm thinking that they did this, to save the store, But again, I could be wrong. So I thought, well, there is no way I'm going to take anybody out there, unless they got hard hats. And it was really comical for the first couple of tours afterwards. I took pictures, and you can see these people with hard hats on. But the Bigfoot never did it again. They went back to their normal thing of throwing little pebbles around us, just to let us know that they were there. Or knocking on a tree or making some, noises of some sort.
It's so funny because for those who do not know, but this is a Bigfoot thing. They will throw rocks, and I'll share real quick what happened to me with Bigfoot. I was at this UFO conference in the Ozarks, and I was there to speak on shadow people stuff, and there was this lady who had a farm not too far away, and she's like, oh, I've got a lot of Bigfoot on my property, and they have babies, and like, sure, okay, yeah, you hear these stories, like, sure. She said, so she's like, you want to come out and see? And I have a lot of orbs, and so we go out there. Really nice lady, and oh my goodness, I've never seen so many orbs crowded in somebody's property before in my life. She had a lot of activity, and she had this little stream that went along her property. And we're walking along, and she's like, and she's talking quietly. She's like, oh, the Bigfoot's babies are over here, and if we get too close, they might throw a rock or two. Don't be nervous about it. It won't hurt you or hit you. We're like, huh? Okay, whatever. Walking along. I'm the last in the group of people. There's probably like 7, 8 of us, and I'm not kidding you. I'm walking, and I had a boulder hurled into the water next to me out of nowhere. Whoosh! And I'm like, what? And the lady's she stops. She goes, oh gosh, we're close. Oh, well, we have to pick up the pace a little bit. They're getting a little. I'm like, you said pebbles. That was a boulder hurled at me. Where did it come from? It's like, where does it come? I don't know where this rock came from. And their aim is fantastic because, man, it landed right near myself. Just unbelievable. But this is something they do to ward you off and apparently to help you prevent theft. That's cool.
Well, last year, I was taking some people up on a tour in the woods of Burlington. And usually I take people up on Saturday, as you know. But this year or last year, well, I think it was last year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year. Yeah, it was. But anyhow, these people had come in and they wanted to do a tour on Friday. Okay, so now Bigfoot, okay, is doing their thing because they know I don't have a tour going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we got up into the woods, we seen, and I have never seen this, but that particular night there was all these turtles out on the path, and they'd been laying eggs.
Oh.
And so, anyhow, that was kind of fun, looking for turtles. But we went up and did our thing in the woods, and we were coming back, going down this hill, and all of a sudden, I think he had been at least 10 foot. Big male comes charging off the top of the hill down at us, got about 20 foot from me.
Yeah.
And he was yelling, and some like those mountain apes,
Uh-huh.
these gorillas. Anyhow, he's screaming at me, and he's running down that hill. He was breaking trees, and he got about 20 foot from me, and then just stopped and stepped over into this bunch of brush
Mm-hmm.
and disappeared. And I mean, I couldn't move, Heidi. I could not move. He could have came all the way, knocked me over, and I was froze. I was paralyzed. And so a bunch of the group, they said, well, let's go after him. And I says, what? I said, I'm not going. And they said, well, come on. I said, can I ask you a question? They says, yeah. And I said, what the hell are you going to do with this thing when you catch him? You know? Well, I don't know. Luckily, though, he disappeared. So he must have stepped into a dimensional portal that was there. But then we went, there was a bunch of the girls, what they wanted to do is just hurry up, get out of the woods. They didn't want to walk with us anymore, which was understandable. So they took off ahead of us. And all of a sudden, we're hearing screams from them, and they're running back. They about pulled me over to get, to where Brad was standing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had run into another small group of Bigfoot. So I think what had happened that night was, one, they didn't know we were coming. So, and I think that they were out there collecting those turtle eggs. Oh. And so we got in between that group, that pod or whatever you want to call them. And so that male, tried to chase us off, to protect his family.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then it rained really good that night. So, the trail, was muddy. So I told everybody, I says, we're just leaving now. And I says, tomorrow we'll come back. So the next day we went back, and there was because I knew we'd be able to find, evidence in the mud. And so anyhow, we went back there, and just as you step into the woods on the right-hand side of the path, there was a beautiful Bigfoot print showing the 5 toes, the full, it was,
wow.
I don't know. I'm not very, let's see, maybe about, 18 to 20 inches long, and about, 10 inches wide, something like that. And anyhow, it was a perfect print. So I took some pictures of it. Then we went up there where, that Bigfoot rushed us. Mm-hmm. And you could see where he had been sitting up there, because there was a whole bunch of leaves up there in the woods. You could see where his butt had set down into those leaves. Then you could see how the leaves were disturbed as he ran down that hill. Plus, there was I took pictures of the trees that he snapped as he was coming down off that hill.
Wow,
but
wild.
That was a close encounter. But I've never all the years. I think I've known about Bigfoot up there. I don't know, maybe 6-7 years. But they've never ever shown themselves. They've just thrown the nuts or or stones or something like that.
It's just such a crazy thing.
But this one I actually saw.
That is wild. I seen one once, and it wasn't outside. I don't even know how to. I've shared it a few times on the show here, but I saw it inside of somebody's home. I mean, it's the craziest thing. It looked like Cousin It, and it wasn't that tall. It was really weird. But it let me know that they're definitely interdimensional things, and they could come and go as they please, and apparently don't always need a door. But I have a question for you because I've heard over the years some really interesting perspectives from people, including some Bigfoot hunters that I work with on another show. Um, just I've heard Bigfoot being seen next to UFOs, and I've even heard some people attribute them to raping their cows. I don't even know how to I mean, really, it's like, okay, they're cow molesters.
Hey,
And I've heard them be called demons. I mean, what do you think they are?
well, have you ever? I think the earliest report of Bigfoot was you can find right in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Sumerian history,
Yeah.
and they called him Enkidu.
Enkidu.
Uh-huh, Enkidu. And
Enkidu.
he was the friend of the king Gilgamesh. And they fought together. And then something happened, a battle was lost or something, and the Enkidu said that they were going underground and they would never live among people again. And I really do think, well, Enkidu was described as the wild, hairy man of the forest. And his job was to watch over nature. And he was described, just how we describe Bigfoot today, with all that hair, all over their body. So
Interesting.
I think that it's a type of a humanoid that they evolved right along with the Adamic man, and they also evolved with the giants because Gilgamesh was a giant. So, I think that the Enkidu, the Indians called the Enkidu the first people. And it's very, very possible that they were and still are the first people.
Oh, interesting. I just found an article, pretty interesting website about the relationship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu. I'm going to post it in the chat room. I'm always in the chat room, people, if you ever want to pop in there. That's interesting. Wow. Huh.
Well, that's what happens when, you do a lot of research, right? So
Yeah.
we just, this stuff just comes to us, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, if I'm not out in the field and writing books, I'm researching. So,
I
yeah,
love it.
I was really glad to have come up or found that, those
Hmm.
passages of the Epic of Gilgamesh, because it is, to me, and I've even been thinking about when I write about Bigfoot, because I never did like the name Bigfoot, and I don't like hairy man either. So I think what I'm just going to start doing, I've been kind of tossing it around, and I think right now, just based off what I told you, I
Hmm.
think what I'm going to start doing is calling them Enkidu.
That's a good one. Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
question here from the chat room from Lorraine. She's asking, how tall do you suspect Bigfoot to usually be? Well, how big was the one you saw?
Well, the one I saw was about 10 foot.
Ooh! Oh, I would not go
You
looking for
know,
that,
and
mother. Mm-mm.
he was proportioned accordingly. He was a big
Wow.
boy.
Oh,
But
forget it.
you got to remember that that they have babies.
Yeah.
Babies are maybe what 2 foot, 3 foot tall, and then they grow into toddlers and they grow into young adulthood. So they could be maybe 12 foot.
Phew.
Or maybe even taller, but it wouldn't be that unreasonable to assume that you're also going to see Bigfoot out there that's only 5 foot if they're a young one, if they're still growing. But I think that the standard size would probably be anywhere between 10 and 12 foot. What do you think, Heidi?
Mm. I haven't. The one that I saw was probably 5'5".
Yeah, so
So
it was probably a young one, a teenager or something.
yeah, that had wandered into this lady's house. She felt like her house was haunted. It was her apartment actually, and it's for some reason people think if you're involved in this stuff that you're automatically psychic. I'm not. Maybe a little sensitive to seeing and feeling stuff, but I don't use it to help in that sense. But um, and so she invited me to go over and hang out at her place, and I'm sitting there hanging with one of my friends, and we both saw this thing manifest in her kitchen. I jumped up screaming Bigfoot. My friend jumped up at the same time screaming werewolf, and it just shimmied out of right before our eyes, just shimmied out of our sight. I'm like, what? There's a Bigfoot loose in your apartment, and maybe the little guy got away from mom and dad's watchful gaze or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was really
Yeah, I
strange.
had when I lived in Burlington, before I had the Sci-Fi Cafe, I had that other little building across the street. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, I'm down there and I'm doing some research in my office, and this woman calls me. She was some sort of a psychic from Canada, a healer, and she was an indigo. And so anyhow, she called me and she says, Mary, she says, I feel that you're out of balance. She says, would you mind if I worked on you on the telephone? And I says, no, go for it. So anyhow, here I'm standing with the telephone, and she's having me do the ums and the ums, and and adjusting myself, doing some yoga type, stances and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And the next thing I know, I look up, and there's this gray alien, about 5'4", and I mean totally physical, standing about, I don't know, about 20, maybe, yeah, no, about 20 foot from me. And he seemed like he was standing in like a circle, because I noticed that he kept his feet very still, and, not to step out of that circle. But his body, he'd twist it and he'd turn it, and he was looking at me because he couldn't hear what was being said on the other side, on the other side of the phone, the other conversation. All I could
Uh-huh.
see was me standing there, gyrating, he was so curious. I think what he did is he dropped his attention, because I think what they do is they create like a cloud of invisibility, and they do this by using their mind, and as long as
Yeah.
they can stay focused, they can keep this cloud of invisibility up. But you see, when he seen me doing this, because apparently he had been in there observing me, but when he seen me doing all this crazy motions and all, and the ums and the ohms, he got so
Mm-hmm.
curious, he dropped his focus on keeping up that shield. It dropped, and there he stood. So I said to the woman, I says, you're not going to believe this, but I says, I got an alien standing looking at me right now. She said, well, do you want me to send it to the other realm or something? Because I think she probably didn't even believe me, tell you the truth. But but I says, no, I says, he's fine. And the thing was about it, Heidi, is usually, we're talking about probably 3 o'clock in the morning here. And I'm down there by myself. And this alien's standing there, you know. And usually I would have flipped out over this,
Uh-huh.
totally
Uh-huh.
flipped. But for some reason,
You
I
stayed
just looked
calm.
at him and I just felt that he was just the cutest little guy I ever seen,
That is
I had
hilarious.
no fear whatsoever. But as
Wow,
soon
but we
as he
we gotta get to our
realized,
next break here, but I'd hate to cut you off, but I
well,
think
I
I
just
would have
want to
dropped
say,
my bladder right there. But
I just want to say this, but as soon as he realized I saw him, just in a blink of an eye, he was gone.
amazing, and my bladder would have dropped still. So you guys, you're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander on Inception Radio Network, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Remembering always, if it's weird, we're here, and so are you. It's all good. We're giving you advice and insight on outlandish topics. Phone lines are always open, 1-888-919-2355. But I know that most of you listen to this show through the app, so it's all good, and so that's fine and dandy. I want to let you guys know that I am helping out a new TV show to try to help address these lovely sleep paralysis episodes a lot of people are experiencing. And you know me, I've been working on this for a long time. So feel free to write me at D as in David, dustoutlander@gmail.com, and send your stories on in. So hopefully we'll get some help out to you and get to address this stuff. I mean, it needs to be put out there. So I'm going to get back to my awesome guest this evening. I have Mary Sutherland. And we're just chatting it up because we're like friends and we haven't spoken in a while. And so we're doing that now. So,
Just
uh,
girlfriends.
just girlfriends, just hanging out. Sorry, you guys got to listen to all this carrying on. Just kidding. We're having a blast. We love this stuff. I mean, Mary, I always tell people if I could do this in my sleep, I would. I probably do, for all I know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you probably do.
Yeah. So,
Because if you ever notice that, some days you wake up and you're just so exhausted, and you shouldn't be
Yes.
exhausted after 8 hours sleep.
Those are the nights I know I've been working, honestly. I'm honestly through my sleep, and it's a strange thing to say, but there's another process that's going on sometimes, and it happens, and it's very interesting when it does. But so I have some questions for you because you cover so many topics, and I have to say I've always wanted to do a book or research on giants. I think the topic is so fascinating because there be giants in them there hills. I mean, this stuff they've been around, they've been documented. I mean, this is just a fact of nature and the rows of teeth that some of them have. And I mean, there's bones that are hidden in the Smithsonian of giants that have been recovered. And, it's just crazy. So I want to hear about the red-haired giants, the work that you've done so passionately.
Well, I remember when, it's like with you and the shadow people, what was
Yeah.
it? 12 years ago, I'm talking about red-haired races, a red-haired race of giants.
Mm-hmm.
And all the researchers are rolling their eyes saying, Mary's gone nuts. I mean, how dare her even bring up the idea that there's such a race, And, I stuck to my guns because I really believed in it. And that's something you researchers got to realize. If you really believe in something, you got the passion for it, doesn't make any difference what anybody else has to say, go for it.
Right.
I did it, Heidi did it.
Yeah.
And and now you type in red-haired race or red-haired giants, and you have over millions of websites, mentioning the red-haired giants.
Yep.
And now we have other authors out there writing about it. I think Unearthing, what is that called? Unearthing America. I think he's done something on the giants as well. But most of what you're seeing, in other books is they're still trying to prove out giants. And my book, I proved out the giants, but I took it further because I wanted people to know who they were, what their traditions were, how did they come to be here in North America, why the hows and whys of their extermination. And showing that these people, how they started downsizing in size and they became the Toltecs that we know of. They were the precursors of the Aztec and the Mayans,
Right.
And so basically this is what I wanted to do, is let the people, I know the evidence is there to prove they exist, but my job is now to teach people who these people were. There
Right.
was some good guys and there was some bad guys. And even in my book, I showed that even Noah was a giant. People during that time were of a different size. The earth would look very, very different than it looks today, And through geology reports, I was able to show that after the flood, that the first dry land, according to geology reports, the first dry land when Europe was underwater and all the rest of the earth was underwater, the first dry land was right here in North America. So if this is the first dry land, the people, that came to be that we know now, or slightly in the past, they had to have started right here in North America, then migrated outwards. Everybody else is saying migration came from outside the North America, then came here to North America. And in my book, I give scientific data of the truth, that there is more than enough reports out there, geology reports, anthropology reports, you name it, that show that the home of the giants was right here in North America. So
amazing.
It's been an interesting voyage for me trying to prove out this because, I'm going against what everybody else is saying.
That's what you got to be. Like you said, you believe in it. You roll with it. The evidence is there, though. I did not know that about Noah, but My goodness, how did this man herd these animals? Maybe he just grabbed them, wrestled them, and hog
Well,
tied them. And
I'm thinking it was DNA.
hmm.
Because if you go back into the, ancient Egypt, you'll find inscriptions on their walls, in their temples of helicopters, fighter planes, submarines, uh, they had technology in those days. And even in my book, The Red-Haired Giants, I talk about the Vimanas, the flying machines of the giants, of that the Mahabharata talks about, the ancient Vedic texts. But so we know, even according to ancient Egypt, that they were already doing things that we're just now discovering. So, I'm pretty sure that they understood DNA. And I think that the animals in pairs were actually DNA samples of all these different animals and birds,
Well,
different
that's a lot
species.
easier to take in a boat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A little swab
So
here or there. And
I,
I've heard
I
that
can't remember. I
with
can't remember where it is now, Heidi, but I know
Mhm,
that our government, or maybe it's even the governments of the world, I think it's up in, I don't know, Antarctica or some darn place like that.
mhm.
But they have a facility that they're already collecting DNA samples and
Oh, that they've got
storing.
an arc of a sort. Yes.
Yeah, they've been doing this for years,
Now, another thing that I've heard, though, from a lot of experiencers of the alien sort, of the more positive alien beings, that, people think everything is abductions, but there are some good guys out there that go around collecting the DNA and different samples of different plant life and whatnot, and they pass along the message to those that spot them out that, well, your Earth is going to be destroyed at some point, and we're trying to, collect things so there it doesn't become extinct, essentially. So, like, there's an arc of a sort from an alien perspective. So it's
yes,
fascinating. It's really
yeah,
fascinating.
it makes sense, doesn't it, Heidi?
It does, because we're
Yeah.
sure doing a heckish job of keeping things together here on this planet. We need a little help.
Well, I don't like saying we because you know there's a source outside of us. I call the controllers.
Mhm. Oh
They're
yes,
like they work for somebody.
yeah.
That is in the shadows, whether it be the reptilians or not. I don't know, but they're working for some higher power, and it's not of God.
Do you know that
And
that is what I attribute in my book, The Secret War, as the shadow people doing? Because, I mean, who would be hell bent on destroying themselves on purpose? It's not us. It is a negative influence, and it's a strange thing to say the devil made me do it. But you know what? Sometimes there's a little something to that. But there
well,
is there's something pulling people's strings. Why they choose A instead of B?
yeah, I totally believe that our consciousness right at this point in time is being taken over by an outside source.
Oh
What
yeah.
that outside source is, alien or not, I don't know. These reptilians may not be alien; they could be earthborn. Just like the let's call it the Enkidu or the Bigfoot.
Yes.
They could be a species that evolved from the reptiles. During the days of dinosaur.
Yeah.
Um, we're discovering all these different hominids, I mean, look at
Fascinating.
your mer people, I
Yeah.
mean, so it could be some sort of I'm thinking whatever it is, it's cold-blooded.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah. For
that is
sure.
why there's been governments around the world trying to destroy the rainforests and things like that to build up heat, you know? because and decrease oxygen because they're preparing for another type of a species that the oxygen or the environment here on earth would be more adaptable to them, not for us but for them.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh, the strings run deep. Let's put it that way. I wanted to get on to you are involved in so many different things, and something that is truly fascinating that's right there in the heartland, Rock Lake in Wisconsin. I mean, tell us a little bit about Rock Lake and what's going on there, because a lot of people are not very familiar with this finding.
The geologists that have found, well, we were out there one time, and this guy that works for the GNR, he comes out, because we're on a pontoon, right? And anyhow, he comes out with one of those little ski boats or whatever, and wants to know what we're doing and trying to find an excuse to give us a few tickets, right? And so anyhow, we told him that we're looking for underwater structures. And now, if people watch documentaries on TV, they're still arguing over the point of one pyramid. But this guy, he says, let me show you something. So he goes back to shore, gets in his car, comes back out, and shows us this map the DNR had put together. And he says, we have discovered over 1,100 structures. And he showed us the map and pointed to them. He says, there's you can look here, 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 here. And so I asked him, I said, well, is there a chance we could have a copy of it? And of course, I got back a snicker and saying, no, this is for our eyes only. But he says, this is what you got. And so he had suggested, that we go to this one spot, and go take a look. But we decided, since he pointed one direction, we were going to go another direction, right? And of course, we had our scuba diving equipment and everything, but we were just about out of oxygen because we'd been out there for some time. And so anyhow, we had an underwater camera. It was at the end of the day, and we had this underwater camera, and we're kind of just sitting back watching watching the monitor, and the camera hits up against something, and we look at it, and it bounced off, hit it again. We pulled back the camera a little bit so we get a full view. It was, Heidi, I kid you not, it was a black obsidian type pyramid, and the capstone had gold engraving on it. And I know it had been something like obsidian because there was no algae growing on it. It was like glass.
Oh my gosh. Give me 1 second. MJ, are you seeing this, that they're having issues in hearing this show? He's going to fix it, I hope. I think that
I can turn my
Oh no, you're fine. No, there's something else that's going on. So let's see if we can get
I know what it is. Remind me. Can you hear me?
Oh no, you're fine. No, you're fine. No, it's not on your end.
I had my mic on mute.
No, you're good. You're good. Give me 2 seconds.
But I had my mic on mute, and I don't know how long.
No, I could hear you just fine.
I know, but could they?
Yes, they can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's nothing on your end at all. We're just trying to fix up something here. All right, so no, it's really, really interesting.
So anyhow, let me tell you the whole story. So we found this underwater pyramid, and I know that it had been something like glass had been something like obsidian because algae wasn't even growing on it. And anyhow, we took pictures of it. There was about, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 of us that saw this, right? And so anyhow, we took pictures to locate it because we didn't have any. At the time, we were just about out of oxygen and everything, so we couldn't dive anymore. But we went back. We've been working at documenting all this stuff for the last 5 years now, because this happened about 5, 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But anyhow, get this. I put something out on the internet about it. Get a call from this Mayan elder. And she tells me, because now remember, the Mayans supposed to be down in Central America, South America. That's where their homeland was, right? Mm-hmm. So anyhow, she calls me up because the Mayan is a matriarchal. So anyhow, the elder was a woman. She calls me up and she tells me, she says, were you the one that found that black pyramid over by Rock Lake? And I says, yeah. And she says, well, and she says, I want to tell you a story about that. Because she says, only us Mayan elders know this prophecy. And she says, when we saw what you had found, we knew that the prophecy had been fulfilled. And she said that there was a very secret prophecy that the changing of the time would begin when the black pyramid of their homeland was found.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Wow. That just kind of blows
Great
your
story.
mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, so they wanted me to go down. So they all joined together. They came from all over the nation at a specific time, and then they went down to Rock Lake to do ceremony, in honor of the prophecy.
Oh
But
my.
of course, at that point in time, because they invited me there, they said that, give me the honor of initiating me into the elders. But of course, I had the cafe chained to that cafe, and there's just
Mhm.
was no way I could make it, and it just kind of broke my heart.
Yeah. Oh, I can, I totally understand how that's, you feel obligated and that you need to, hold things together. You can't just abandon it. I mean, and it was really quite a kind of an anchor for the area. A lot of people knew if you wanted to learn about something out of the ordinary or spiritual, go there. I mean, you really put a mark in Burlington, Wisconsin. I mean, people knew this is where you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that was. I mean, what a legacy to have, you know?
Well, I think, I think that we've both done our blood, sweat, and tears. It hasn't been an easy trip for you
Yeah,
or myself, and we both we're pioneers,
yeah,
we were out there before the internet, and we just went with our guts, and learning how to see, you know,
yes. And listen, and
and
you know,
listen.
and it's not a solo thing that you can do. It's like I got the strength of so many people behind me. I wanted to mention tonight that there's a group called the Light Side. And one of
Oh,
my dear friends from the group passed away, sadly, July 3rd, Sandy Hansen. And, she, along with another good friend, Russ and Bonnie and Kathy and Diane, and I mean, so many people that helped me do what it is that I'm doing now, that drove with me across the country in a packed van,
yeah.
hopping into these different conferences. These conferences don't pay for you to go. You pay your way to go, and you are going to in hopes of opening up eyes. And, I really want to, send my condolences and thank yous to my friend Sandy, who sadly has passed away. And it's, and if we build each other up in this lifetime, and look what we've achieved, everybody. I mean, I honestly give kudos and thanks to my dear friends. I mean, this is a group effort. This is a group effort,
I,
and it's something that it's an ongoing process. I always fall back still on these good friends of mine, and know that everything that they've told me and taught me and shown me over the years and helped pull together God's taken note. Let's put it that way.
well, the light side is just incredible. I don't think that there's any group out there that could
Yeah.
ever, you know, match up to their generosity, their support, because they've done the same thing for me too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sandy was an incredible lady,
Oh yeah.
with the best, and well, all of them with the best hearts.
Oh
You
gosh.
just can't beat them.
No, no.
We
I
love,
mean,
we love. So, in case you guys are listening, Heidi and I love you, love you, love you, love you.
big time. Oh, Russ is in the chat room.
Oh, is he? Hi,
He's
Russ.
he's always there. He's awesome. My goodness. So it's really been interesting, a serious love affair for these topics to do what we're doing. And even though it's been rough, it's not anything I would ever want to stop, and it's nothing I'd ever want to change. I mean, I will do this till my last breath because I know the importance of it, and I know that you feel the same way.
Well, Linda, I'm still doing the tours. It takes me 2 hours to drive to Burlington, 2 hours to drive back, but I faithfully go there every week,
Nice.
because people need to know. They need to understand that the world is, there's things out there that's may seem invisible, but that invisible world is packed with strange entities and you know,
Yeah.
species that we don't have a clue on, uh, plant life, animal life, bird life, past, present, future, alternate realities. I mean, it's teeming with life that we just don't see.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer and closer with new technology and the determination, of the light side and you and myself and people like Linda Godfrey and that,
Yeah.
we're getting it done. We're getting the word out. And, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think
when you look at millions of websites referring to our work, we must be doing something right.
something's going on. I want to give the website to the light side. It's thelightside.org, so people check it out. And we only got a couple of minutes left, Mary. This went so fast. I want you to put your website out there, the names of your books, and how people can get a hold of you, and what your next speaking engagements are.
Well, if you want to learn about the paranormal in this area, I put out a book called Haunted Burlington, Wisconsin. And I'm not really happy with the theme, or, the title, because it doesn't do it justice. It limits it, for the reader to think it's just Burlington, but it's not. I use Burlington as my, as the home, but I go into explaining the paranormal, of why it happens, how it happens, to tell stories of the Hat Man and I think you're even mentioned in there, Heidi, by the way.
Cool. Oh, well, thank you.
I gave you credit for the Hat Man.
Woohoo!
And then, yeah. And so anyhow, it's a great book, Haunted
Sounds
Burlington, Wisconsin, and you
Nice.
can buy it on Amazon. And then I finished my book, Red Haired Giants. That's a 5-book series, and that's the second book of it. Because I had so much information on my research on In Search of Ancient Man that the only way I could actually put it out was to break it down into books. So,
Goodness. Well,
yeah.
my goodness. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. This was a lot of fun, and we definitely have to do it again.
Oh, I hope so.
Definitely.
I guess it's the only way I'm going to be able to make contact with you anymore.
I will send you my phone number, girlfriend. It's all good. I got you covered. So, my goodness, everybody, this went quick. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, night terrors, anything of this sort, please have people write me at douthoutlander@gmail.com. Remember, you can catch me here every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. You've been listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander on Inception Radio Network. Remembering, always if it's weird, we're here.